Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of the Minister of Agriculture and Forestry, I move second reading of Bill 24, the Forest and Prairie Protection Amendment Act. Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to rise today for the second reading of Bill 24, the Forest and Prairie Protection Amendment Act. The main objective of this bill is to enhance wildfire prevention, enforcement, and operational activities, with a key focus on reducing the risk of human-caused fires. Historically, the number of lightning-caused wildfires has outnumbered human-caused wildfires. However, the trend in recent years shows a significant increase in the number of human-caused incidents. Would it surprise you to learn, Mr. Speaker, that approximately 70% of wildfires over the last 5 years have been linked to human activity? That's why this government must continue to put Albertans and their communities first, Mr. Speaker. And the amendments to this Act will do just that. Yesterday, the Premier rose in the House and recognized those who worked tirelessly protecting Albertans during the Fort McMurray wildfires. The people of Alberta and their forest resources deserve to be protected from the carelessness that contributes directly to more than 2/3 of wildfires we see each year. Each one of these wildfires is 100% fully preventable, Mr. Speaker. And through legislation like the Forest and Prairie Protection Amendment Act, we can give our wildfire experts the tools they need to bring that number down to acceptable levels. The amendments we propose are supported by recommendations made following reviews of major wildfires such as the 2011 Slave Lake area wildfires, as well as learnings from the last 2 wildfire seasons, which includes the devastation that occurred in Fort McMurray earlier this year. The amendments can be grouped into 3 broad categories: enhanced fines, improved public safety and wildfire prevention measures, and operational amendments. Fines. The proposed amendments would increase maximum fines for major offences, and new penalties would focus on both industrial and individual violations. Penalties would occur for industrial offences like not having sufficient firefighting equipment on site to encourage improved compliance. New provisions in this Act would give people like peace officers, forestry, fish and wildlife, and conservation officers, as well as the RCMP, the ability to hand out tickets for careless use of fire on Alberta's landscape. Those found burning without a permit, leaving a campfire unattended, or burning during a fire ban or restriction could see themselves with a ticket for between $150 and $1,000. The proposed increase in maximum penalties for major offences would help to deter reckless and irresponsible behaviour and remind Albertans that burning in the forested areas of the province comes with risks and responsibilities. It would also bring the fine levels in line with penalties issued under comparable Alberta legislation, as well as similar wildlife legislation in British Columbia and Saskatchewan. Public safety and protection. In terms of public safety and protection and prevention activities, The proposed amendments include provisions that would improve our ability to restrict specific recreational activities that cause wildfires during hazardous wildfire conditions. In the same way we impose a fire ban when forests are tinder dry, we would have improved authority to restrict the use of off-highway vehicles, or OHV, during the high fire hazard conditions. Mr. Speaker, I was surprised to learn just how easily OHVs can cause wildfires. Debris can easily be caught up in the hot spots of the vehicle, under the seat, near the engine, and near the exhaust, and then become superheated. On high to extreme fire hazard days with only a little bit of wind, that superheated debris can drop down onto the ground behind the OHV and start a wildfire. Restricting off-highway vehicles during these periods of extreme danger will go a long way to reducing the hundreds of OHV-related wildfires we've seen over the past number of years. We also have improved authority to stop actions which interfere with fighting wildfires, including the restriction of drones, which make it unsafe for water bombers and helicopters to work on wildfires. We have seen in recent years the increased use of unmanned drones here in Alberta and on wildfires in our partner wildfire agencies across North America. As soon as a drone appears on a wildfire, all aircraft must immediately land or be diverted as a safety precaution. Much of our firefighting ability in this province is done by aircraft. Prohibiting interference with wildfire operations by drones on wildfires will help our firefighters, because if you fly, we can't. The enhanced prevention measures in the Act strengthen the obligations for industry to assist in preventing wildfires. Operational amendments. The operational amendments will further enhance firefighting activities by clarifying operational processes, roles, and responsibilities. As the climate continues to change, we've seen our fire seasons become longer and wildfires become more intense. The March 1st start to the fire season has been established by ministerial order each year for the past 5 years in response to recommendations from the 2011 Slave Lake wildfires. We propose the officially designated start of fire season be set at March 1st, which is 1 month earlier than the April 1st date that is currently set out in the legislation. This ensures spring wildfire preparations are well underway and our wildfire personnel will start the fire season ready to fight fire. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, I am confident that the proposed amendments will have a strong level of public support. Wildfire prevention and protection continue to be on the forefront of the minds of Albertans in the wake of the devastating fires in the communities of Fort McMurray and Slave Lake. As a result, the general public will be receptive to new measures aimed at reducing the wildfire risks to communities and enhancing the province's ability to combat wildfires. An open public survey conducted this spring also solicited input from the public as well as key stakeholders that included first responders, municipalities, Indigenous people, industry, recreational associations, as well as other affected groups. The survey responses indicated strong support for the proposed enhancements to the legislation and regulations, which were viewed as an effective means to reduce wildfire risk and increase accountability and compliance across Alberta. The proposal to increase fines, for example, was supported by 96% of respondents. Mr. Speaker, I am proposing that the amendments to the Act be passed through this House with the subsequent regulatory changes completed in the following months. The goal is to have all the new measures in place before the beginning of next year's fire season on March 1st, 2017. Mr. Speaker, that concludes my comments, and I ask all members in the House to support this bill and support the hard-working wildfire professionals across the province who protect Albertans from the threat of wildfires. Thank you.
Hear, hear.